Hi folks, John Cordisco back again with another great chess video for you. This is the last round of the FIDE Grand Prix tournament taking place right now in Greece. It was played on today, Monday, June 3rd, 2013. It is between the tournament leader, Dominguez from Cuba, who's rated number 11 in the world and has the white pieces, and Topalov, former world champion, currently number 9 in the world with the black pieces. It's kind of a long game, I'll tell you now. Hopefully, if it's not too long, I'm going to put the post-mortem of the players that are at the end. I'm not going to say who it is or who it isn't, that way it won't tell who won. But anyway, folks, it's a great game. I'm going to go through it here. Dominguez was white, Topalov was black. It's going to be a Sicilian. C5, knight f3, e6, pawn takes, knight to c6. We've all seen this a million times. Knight to c3, queen to c7, bishop e3, a6. That a6 in a way kind of holds down to that b5 square. As we all know, chess isn't just about the pieces, it's about the squares they control. Queen to d2. Black's a little behind in development, but that's normal in a Sicilian. Knight to f6. White castle's long, so we know this is going to be one of those games where opposite side castling. That way, we're going to get some pawn storms. They're usually fun. Bishop to b4. f3. You can't see it on the screen, but I have my Fritz 13 program playing right now, and it's almost a half a pawn advantage for white. Nothing at this point. Knight to e5. That's an interesting move. Knight to b3. b5. Queen to f2. Now, I'll tell you the truth, I don't know why black didn't play bishop takes, and then after pawn takes, maybe not even queen takes maybe, but at least do that to disrupt his pawns. I don't know why he didn't. The computer calls for bishop takes c3. Needless to say, black, who is Topalov, former world champion, must know better than I. He castles. c5, forcing the trade of bishops, as we can see, because the bishop is hitting the rook. Bishop takes, queen takes, knight takes. Now we've got the set of bishops off the board and the queens, and a lot of pawns. d5, f4, kicking the knight moves. e5. That gains a lot of space for white. As you can see, all this space in here he's got to play with his pieces. A lot more than black has. He's kind of cramped up. For those of you that are wondering about e takes d5, that's not too good because of knight to f2, bishop to e2, knight takes h1, rook takes h1, b4, and that's a disaster for white. After e5, I hope I'm not going too fast here for you because it's kind of a long game. It's 70 moves. I'm going to try to get through it the best I can and try to show you as much analysis as I can. Knight to d7. Knight takes, bishop takes. So in a lot of ways, black gets a tempo on the recapture with his bishop and develops his last piece. His rooks are connected. White still has to develop his light squared bishop. Rook to d4. Knight to e3. King comes up. Now the queens are off the board. It's a good time for the king to come up. Knight backs off. Rook to d3. b4. Knight to d1. The knight's been backed up pretty good, but frankly I think black's overextended on the queen side. d4. Rook to g1. Bishop, pawn. Just consolidating his king side here and his pawns. Plus it also covers the h4 square. You don't want that knight getting in there for whatever reason and then sneaking in here. Rook a to c8, king to c1. King goes back. Interesting. He must have changed his mind. Pawn, rook to d2. Rook f to d8. As usual, you know, you want to put your rooks right on the middle files, especially on white's king, and also to defend your d-pawn is coming down the board. It's a tiny advantage for black. It's kind of swung in the last few moves. White, Linear Dominguez, seems to be not making mistakes, but just small inaccuracies that are causing them to slowly lose the position. Bishop to d3 to stop the advance of the pawn. Rook to e1. Now this would have happened if bishop takes knight. Would have won e takes, b3, a takes, bishop to e4. And to tell you the truth, that might be a hair better for white, to be honest with you. Black's got two lead pawns coming up that are both isolated. White's got a really nice pawn chain here. Both of his pawns are connected here. I think that might have been a better way to go. After rook to e1, g6, b3, a takes, rook a8, and of course the king goes to b2. Knight to e7, he's going to start bringing his knight back around. Bishop to c4. Right now it's a minute advantage for black, less than, actually the computer just went to 0.00, so it's dead equal. Bishop to f3, hitting the knight. Knight to f2. Knight to f5. I think this would be a good moment at this point in the game to stop for these messages.
Girls, I bought a lot of underwear for my man. And years ago, I picked Fruit of the Loom.
Surprise, Emma!
Hiya, cutie. I save every time I buy Fruit of the Loom briefs. Big value for your money.
Right on, only $1.30.
The Superband waistband, that's real quality.
Atta girl, Emma.
For my men and my money, Fruit makes the best picking.
Men's cotton briefs, only $1.30. A great buy-in.
Hi folks, welcome back. Just want to give you some background here. If Dominguez wins this game, Dominguez is white. He wins the tournament, this section of the FIDE Grand Prix. And my understanding is based on what number you are, first through, I believe there's 10 or 12 people, you get points. And whoever has the most points at the end, there's some kind of playoff schedule. And all that work and all that will determine who the next challenger is for the World Championship. Depending on who wins this November, as we all know, Magnus Carlsen is challenging Vichy Anand this November, I believe. So, and this is probably the best Dominguez has ever done in a tournament of this strength and caliber. So there's a lot on the line for him. And he's a fairly young guy. He's not that young. He's probably close to, I would say, late 20s, early 30s. But even still, to be in the top 20-25 in the world for so long, and this is your chance, and there's some pressure on you. And I think he plays well. He did well this whole tournament. In fact, my buddy Carl Nakamura from the United States, where I'm from, kind of got a draw from him. I shouldn't say stole, but he kind of swindled a draw out of Dominguez. So if Nakamura hadn't drawn that game, Dominguez would be drawing here and win the tournament. So he feels he has to win the tournament. After knight to f5, bishop to d3, knight to e3. That's a really good place for that knight. I mean, what's going to chase him off? White's got a light squared bishop. Of course, you don't want a rook takes because you'll lose the exchange, and the only place this knight can go is here to challenge him, and he can't because this bishop is occupying that square. That knight's in a really good spot. You get a knight on the 6th rank against anybody, he can cause you problems. So look at the squares he covers. It's incredible. Bishop d4, bishop takes, knight takes. Rook d to c8, rook e to d2. As you can see, of course, he's trying to guard this square here. You have the knight and the rook bearing down on it. Frankly, I'm surprised at this point that Black didn't try to put his rook here and then bring this rook over and try to hem in this white king. That I'm surprised at a little bit. Rook to d8, defending his lead pawn. Knight to d6, that's also a good square for White's knight now. All the bishops are gone, so the only thing that can chase him off of that square is the other knight. Knight to f5, which he does right away. Rook to e4. What would have happened if White took? It would have went g takes, rook to d1, rook to d5. With about 2/3 of a pawn advantage for White. Currently it's about that, about 2/3 advantage for White. Rook to e4, knight takes, e takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. Now this is where I think Dominguez really started buckling down. Caruana was the only one that could catch him in this tournament. Kamsky was right behind him from the United States. And I think this is where he saw that that Caruana might lose. I think he saw his chance to try to win this, and he really goes into the long grinding endgame. I'm not going to say who makes out, which is kind of interesting. I know these guys expend a lot of energy, physically and mentally, but to say, well, I see my chance, I'm going to play for a win instead of think hard and try to get a draw, I think they should do it like Magnus does, and to a certain extent, Nakamura. You should play all of these games as if you're going to go down to bare kings. And I think maybe some of these guys just don't have the taste for the juggler. And being this is the last round, I was surprised that he said later this is where he really tried. Rook to b8, c3, b takes, king takes. Now, as we all see, of course, White, being Dominguez, has a passed b pawn. Material is equal. White's up about 1/3 of a pawn. Excuse me. King to f8, bring your king up. Of course, we all know in rook, especially rook pawn endgames, your king is a hugely important and powerful piece for not during the early middle game, but in the endgames, he's a powerful piece. Rook to d7, rook check, king to b2, king to e8, rook to a7. He's trying to hem in the black king. He's trying to stop the king from getting up, which is smart. h5, b4. He's going to start creeping his passed pawn up. h4. Now, he wouldn't want to take here. Because if he took, he went king to b3. Say he took the pawn instead. It would have went g takes, rook to c4. Now his pawns are just busted. They're all isolated. Rook checks, king to d7, checks, king to e8, rook to a7, and black would have drawn it. And if he didn't draw it, he would have picked up all of these pawns. And I think maybe sacrificed his rook later for the white b pawn. So that's why he did not take. Went king to b3, h3, b5, rook to c5, going after the pawn immediately. King comes up to protect it. Rook to c2, b6. That pawn's really starting to come down. Rook, king to d8. If rook to b2 instead, king to c5, king to d8, rook takes f7. And White's got a really good advantage here. I think this is a good time right now to pause for these messages.
Attention. To help carry on our important work, I want you to join the secret squadron and wear this official badge and have this secret decoder. Following each week's adventure, I'll send an important secret message, and only secret squadron members who have decoders can decode them. Also, later I'll tell you the simple rules for joining the secret squadron, but you must promise to do as I do. Keep yourself healthy and mentally alert. And drink Ovaltine every day. It's the official drink of the secret squadron. We secret squadron members know chocolate-flavored Ovaltine helps give us what we need for rocket power. Yes, just as a rocket adds thrust during takeoff, Ovaltine can add the kind of nourishment so important for rocket power. We drink Ovaltine hot for breakfast. Good, too. And cold for lunch and between meal snacks. And hot again at bedtime to help keep us revved up with rocket power. Believe me, Ovaltine's got what it takes to help you be a leader in your gang. So drink instant Ovaltine every day.
Hi folks, welcome back. I hope I'm not going through this game too quickly. It's a fairly long game, and sometimes these long videos get passed over. People just don't have the time or the patience to watch the whole thing. And I'm going to try to put on the post-mortem, which is a few minutes long, in the awards ceremony as well in the end. So I'm trying not to make this portion of the video too long. After king to d8, we showed what would happen if rook checked on b2. Rook takes f7. Interesting would have been rook to a8 check, king to e7, king to a3, rook to c3 check. This is where I think black, Veselin Topalov, former world champion, miscues. And it's funny what happens, and you'll see in a minute. Rook takes h2. Huge mistake. And went from about a 1.4 advantage for white to almost 2.5 points. Now we're coming up on 3-point advantage for white now. What he should have done instead of rook takes is rook to b2, king to c5, king to c8. He might have had a chance to draw it then. But this happens quite often. Now black, Topalov, made an error. I'm looking at the computer here, you can't see it. It's a single question mark, so it's not a total blunder, just a very, very big inaccuracy. And what happens is when one player makes an inaccuracy, the other one does. Rook to h7, double question mark. He should have went to b7, rook to b2, king to c3. Would have probably sealed it up for black, or I should say white. And these things happen. Not that I'm glad that these guys make mistakes. It just makes me feel better that even though these guys are great, super players, elite of the world, they make mistakes too. King to c8, which brought it right down dramatically. He was almost up 2 points. Now it's about a half a pawn. King to c5, rook to c2, king to d6, h2. He finally gets that h-pawn moving. King takes, rook to g2, threatening the g-pawn for white. King to e5, rook takes g3, rook takes h2, rook to b3. Now I remember watching this part of the game live in the commentators, and there was a ton of different scenarios. A ton. Rook pawn endings is one of the ironic rules of chess, that the smaller amount of pieces there are on the board, you'd think it would be simpler. Frankly, it's just the opposite. It becomes much more complicated, and you have to be much more precise. Instead of rook to b3, I think king to b7 should have been looked at. I think that was something worth considering for black. Rook to b3, rook to king 8, king to b7, rook to h7, king takes b6. That's a mistake. Another mistake by Topalov. He should have played king to b4. And there's a long scenario, they don't show it on here. I remember the commentators talking about there's a trick here where white just can't make any progress. After king takes, king f6, rook b4. Interesting might have been rook to f3, and then rook to h4. That would have been something to consider. King to g5, king to c6, rook to f7. Now white's planning to go f5. King to d5, king takes, rook to b6 check, king to g5, rook to b8, rook to b2 would have led to f5, rook to g2, king to f6 with a big advantage for white. Rook to b8 is a pretty good advantage too. f5, rook to g8, king to f6, king to e4. Maybe he should have went king to c6. After king to e4, rook to a7, rook to f8, king to g6, rook to g8 check. Interesting if rook took f5. Excuse me. Rook takes f5. It's kind of an interesting sequence. It's called a mating pattern, but it's a long one. I'll show it to you. Rook to a4 check, king, rook to a5 check, king to e4, and rook takes, and of course that loses the game. I'm not going to go through the rest because you really don't need to see it. All of us know our rook king endings, or I hope we do. Rook to g8, king to f7, rook to h8, and then threatening the rook, and this is where Veselin Topalov, on a 71st move, former world champion, resigns. This wins Lenier Dominguez the championship for this FIDE Grand Prix tournament. I think it was very well earned. He played extremely well. He was just on the whole time. Obviously, Greece agrees with him. I believe he said he played in Greece once in 2004 in the Olympiad. And I think he's going to like Greece a lot better now. So congratulations to Lenier Dominguez. He played a hell of a tournament. He's been biding his time for years, and I think he finally broke through. Hopefully he's going to stay in the top 15 now. He moved up to number 11. He was like number 24 or 25. He's come up 13 or 14 places. That's quite a leap. Anyway, folks, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I want you to remember that if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. And please watch the post-mortem at the end with Lenier Dominguez and the small portion of the awards ceremony. I know it makes the video quite long, but I think it's worth looking at just to get what he was thinking. Now that the pressure's off and he can relax and have a clear head. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Please comment and please subscribe. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
With us, he just won the game against Veselin Topalov, and we congratulate him on the victory in this tournament.
Thank you.
And okay, my first question before we go to the game, did you actually expect that the tournament will finish this way?
Well, obviously, at the beginning, not really. I was just trying to concentrate on doing my best in every game. After the two previous tournaments, the Grand Prix, I was doing quite bad, so I wanted to show at least some good play. But of course, after after the situation that we had yesterday, it was clear that I had some chances today, and I was ready to try to exploit them.
Yeah, and today during the game, were you checking the game of Kamsky and Caruana, and what did you think after you knew that Kamsky lost the game?
Yes, then I knew that I had some chances because actually I think I played quite bad in the opening, and Black was more than fine at some point.
So at the moment, let's say he resigned, let's say.
Yeah, when he resigned, then I was already a bit better, so it was a nice chance to try to win the tournament, and I'm very happy that finally it happened.
Yeah, okay, so we can check the game.
Yes, I
Say what
think
happened.
this line is, I thought that it's maybe slightly better for white because we get this type of structure which is very similar to French defense. Okay, white is trying to play against this bad bishop, but probably I have to play something like rook d2 here. It's better move because after rook d4, knight d3, it's very good and it's not easy for me to develop my pieces. And black has many ideas also with f6 at some point. He's already taking over the initiative and I didn't see a way to get an advantage. Then I think I was, yeah, here at first I wanted to play some knight e2, which was logical, trying to control this square, but then realized that after bishop b5, rook b3, a5, g4, okay, I wanted after knight e7 to play knight d4, and with the knight on d4 white is probably doing well, but black simply takes on e2 and exchange all pieces, and he's probably already clearly better. I don't know, it's a very good play for black. Rook c8, rook c4, and this g4 is also a bit weak, so I had to go for knight d1. Okay, maybe black has some initiative, but white is also very solid, and if I manage to develop somehow my pieces, I saw that white also should not lose. So I think, yeah, we played some moves. Yeah, I think at this point I was already probably doing fine. b3 I like because now, yeah, in many cases I want just to take on f5 and then put knight on d3, and this pawn on b4 is a bit weak, so black has to be careful, but yeah, probably it's still okay for black. I was also in time trouble, I could not see much. Then we played some moves, okay, then it was interesting that we got this endgame, which of course is better, and exactly at this point was when I saw that Caruana won, so I wanted to really try to win this. I'm not sure if I should win this endgame. I thought that if I go something straight, like before king e7, it's probably not easy because black will go f6, e5, and actually it's not easy to push this b pawn. So I thought that rook d7 was a good move, because now all the time I have pressure here on f7 and his king is not really active, so yeah, rook a7. And I don't know, maybe here rook b8 was, I was expecting rook b8, trying to stop this pawn, because after king c3, rook c8, if I go something like king d3, of course he goes rook b8 back, so I was thinking about move king d4, because after rook b8 then there is king e5, rook b3, king f6, so this was like an idea, but of course he can play something like rook c2 here maybe. I don't know, it's of course white also has some chances and it's definitely pressing, but I'm not sure if, because I felt that somehow h5 give me some chances, because now my b pawn is getting far, and with his king on e8 there is always some, so h4 he wanted to get counterplay with this pawn. Rook c5, king b4, rook c2, b6, of course he cannot take. Then simply b7 wins, I think. Rook b2 and king c3, and I'm in time just to stop this pawn with rook a8 and b8, so I think what we played was most logical, king d8 of course to try to stop this pawn, then rook f7, rook h2. Now I cannot go b7 immediately because he's in time to, no.
B7. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, b7, which would be nice if I would get my king to c6 somehow, just to but rook b2, king c5, h2, and he's just in time to take this pawn. So king c5, rook h7, king c8, king c5, and then yes, almost by force we get to this endgame. I'm not sure if I guess I should win after something like king b7, but I was definitely a bit worried about this because somehow I have to. He will just pass here, and it should be a win, but. I was more afraid of this way of play, because after rook b3 then we get almost by force to this rook endgame, which of course I thought that's very nice chances.
Could he play king b8 or something, no?
King b8? Yes, king b8 possible, then I will always go b7 if I want, I mean minimum, yes. And then we get similar end, I would put rook on g7 and start going around with my king. It should be winning somehow, I guess, but yes, maybe king b8 was... Also, I don't know if after king b8 we can go king f6 already. Maybe I can, because if rook b6, king g5 is very similar to the game, so he has to go rook f3. Or maybe rook g3. But then rook g7 should be winning.
It looks pretty same, yeah?
Yes. Then with rook on g7 and king b8 it's even worse. I mean, it should be, of course, very... Ah.
Possible, yeah?
Yeah, I was afraid of this during the game. I don't know, maybe here I can go something like king e4, or maybe even rook g3.
Because now f5, g takes f5 was check.
Yeah, I wanted to get king to f3 somehow, because after king f3, rook g1, maybe rook g3.
Not easy.
Not so easy. Well, I could go something like this, no? Rook a5. Huh? Trying to get rook, then rook b3. Not easy at all. I feel that it should be winning, of course, but cannot see how.
Yeah. I think we also didn't find here, yes, how it should be win. I think we also didn't find here during the comments. We didn't, yes, in the end. Yeah.
Yes, no, it's hard to believe that White is not winning, but definitely
There are some
it was, yeah, it was best defense. Because, yeah, this endgame that we got, yeah, I think here is winning by force already, because of the trick, yes, goes rook g3, this rook h6, rook g4, rook g6, and king e5. This was, when I saw this, I felt that it should be winning.
Yeah. And look, it was clear for you that it's absolutely winning.
Already
this.
here, I saw that there is no way to make a draw.
So my question is actually, do you consider the victory in this Grand Prix as the best result in your career?
I think so, yes.
So,
I mean...
okay. B7, yes.
Ah. Rook h2. But then... If he moves?
Yes, and rook h7, and you want to take all the time.
So some king e8?
You take on h2.
So there's no way to avoid this? this was clever. Yes.
If he goes rook b1, again the same, I think. If he goes after king c3, rook b1, I don't think there is any difference. Once again the same.
Just rook h7.
And this pawn endgame is winning, yes? After rook h8.
King gets to a5. Yeah. Looks winning. Yes.
Yes. Okay. And coming back to the result, and who did help you during this event? Who was supporting you? Because you never said something about seconds or trainer.
Well, my father was helping me.
Yes, it's clear. But what about chess part?
No,
You were
chess
on your
part I
own
was on my own. Yes.
with Gudini, or
Yes, like everybody.
so. Do you know something about how about the reaction in Cuba about your success? I mean, they were following today, or
Yeah,
they
I know
will.
that they were, of course, following everything, and already they were very happy with my result until yesterday. But yeah, I can imagine that after today it will be good.
So what will happen? I mean, now you're going back home, and they will meet you in the airport, people.
I have
or,
no idea.
Or something like.
I will tell you later, but
Okay.
it sounds like this.
Yeah, that's so sad. And okay, speaking about this tournament, which game you consider the most difficult for you? Which one you think is one of the best you played here?
Well, I think yeah, when you play such strong tournaments, it's there are no really easy games. It's clear that in every game I had to fight till the end, and it took a lot of energy. But I think yeah, the game that I had against Backrod was pretty difficult because I was worse all the time, and it was very unpleasant position, and yeah, it took a lot of energy to manage not to lose this game.
Yeah, and you are going to play in one more Grand Prix, right? I
Yes.
think, yes. And so, what do you think about your chances now? I mean,
Well, first I will go celebrate this result, and then I will think about my chances. But yeah, definitely I will prepare, of course, and try to do my best as well.
how are you going to celebrate? It's interesting.
I have to think.
You have to. It's very important. It's a really important question.
There are many ways, but I have to think. Yes.
Okay. Do we have questions to Linier? Yes, please.
No, actually, it's my second time. I was here in 2004 for the Olympiad. I was invited by Cuban sport of, Cuban Institute of Sports. They because I had a very good result in 2004. I got very far in this World Championship. So it was also like. They gave me this chance to be a spectator in the Olympiad, so I was in Athens in 2004.
And you stayed till all the tournament, all Olympiad?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I didn't know that. So what do you think about Greece's tournament organization in general? Did you enjoy staying here?
Just very nice. It's one of the best tournaments, not only because I won. Of course, I'm very happy because I won, but just it was great. I was having really a great time. I was food is great. The city is just wonderful. I was going for walks every day with my father, and we were just enjoying this. And it's, I can honestly say that it's one of the best places that I have ever played in.
And other questions, please? So, okay, please.
Yes, after Capablanca, for sure. Yes. Not really. I was just trying to not to be too tense about the result. It was just trying to do my best. It's clear that it's a very tough tournament, but yeah, I'm definitely.